Hi y'all, I'm back at it again with another YouTube video. This time we're going to go over week 19 content. So welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Kristen Lagan and this is UXUI Advocate. Okay, so week 19 content centered around JavaScript, jQuery, and being able to navigate code, HTML, CSS in a more efficient, quicker manner. So I'm going to go into detail about both of those elements, and then once again, just like week 18, I'm going to show what week 19 homework looked like, what my GitHub repository looked like, as well as the code and the CSS, all the stuff that goes into my week 19 homework. First off, what is JavaScript? It was completely new to me. It's still fairly new to me. I feel like I'm learning more about code and what all these different elements mean, on a daily basis. With JavaScript, it allows for the interaction between HTML, CSS elements and the user engaging in a website or an application. So I had someone explain to me that JavaScript is like the nervous system, HTML is like the bones, and CSS is like the external outward appearance if you're looking at a physical body. So you need all three of those elements to make for a delightful experience for users and make for a great product when it comes to having just good engagement for a user to actually use. So JavaScript is super important to have. Week 19 also covered just the syntax involved in JavaScript, how to use JavaScript, why we use it, and then we went into detail about jQuery, being the library of all things JavaScript, and the importance of using code that's already been written, or JavaScript code that's already been written through or on the open source platform jQuery, so that it's just faster for programmers and developers to develop an application or develop a website. So jQuery was really interesting. It was really awesome to learn about jQuery. I've always heard that term tossed around, but no one's ever really explained it to me until this week. So it was cool learning about that. When we played around with the library, jQuery, we talked about JavaScript operators, so plus, minus, all of the different symbols that go into JavaScript. What else? Some of the functions associated with jQuery, how to write a jQuery syntax. Event listeners when it comes to JavaScript, and just the animations involved, the animations that you can create, when actually using JavaScript. So that was really cool to kind of play around with, moving different elements around on our screen and changing the color and having the color change back depending on what we were trying to get at. And finally, when it came to week 19, we talked about logic and conditions. And I think this part really confused me, because it got into being able to tell the software what you want it to do depending on what the user does to interact with the application or the site. And so we talked a lot about if-else statements, true-false statements, different conditions associated with, once again, how the user engages in the site and interacts with the site. When we talked about the different levels, the different types of data, so string, integers, and Boolean data, and the fact that logic and different conditions vary depending on what is actually typed inside or what's actually input inside of code. So yeah, a lot of different statements, a lot of different conditions. I got super lost. Had to do a lot more YouTubing trying to figure out how the comparisons work, and how I want my site to look depending on how I was going to have someone engage in the content and the elements. So with that in mind, I am going to transfer over. I'm going to share my screen so that we can look at my GitHub repository and the site that I was trying to recreate using VS Code. So yeah, let me get into that. Okay, so once again, we have my GitHub repository here for week 19. I'm going to minimize that for a second. I also have VS Code with my HTML index, CSS index, with some JavaScript going on. Did I put JavaScript at the bottom? My attempt at JavaScript. I had tried some keyframes too. I don't know if I did that right for animations. But we'll go into detail, show what this document looks like in a little bit. And then finally, what my attempt was at recreating week 19 content. So let's talk about this first. Once again, just like last week, we had to code one of the pages associated with the nonprofit website redesign project that we did a couple weeks prior. And this, I kept it with the same page, but my job for week 19 was to kind of integrate some animations and increase kind of like the delightful quote unquote factor associated with this web page. So you'll see here when I pull up my actual website, you'll see some interactions that I built in when it came to, I believe there's the buttons. Some of the buttons here, I don't think I got past changing some of the button colors, because I wanted to kind of just throw my computer out the window at some points. But yeah, let me show you what I have here. Let me open up the server. Once again, just like last week, it's exactly the same page, but I wanted to, you can see here, it's definitely not color. The color accessibility is probably a big issue that I have here, because I don't think that black on the dark kind of foresty green is passing. But you'll see here that some of these different elements, change depending on the hover states that I have. Let me scroll down here. Same with these buttons too. They change black when I hover over those elements. And then I also put in a little spinning wheel. I wanted to kind of play around with the spinning icon element. So I ended up just putting it there, because my sign up button doesn't actually have a function. It just sends you right back to this page that I coded. But yeah, that is my really big attempt at trying to figure out jQuery and adding on to the CSS Flexbox that we did the week prior, and then trying to work through some different animations using, like I said, jQuery and the logic and the conditions involved in those different statements. So yeah, that is week 19 content. I know that there's still a lot of work that needs to be done when it comes to like my proficiency of coding, HTML, CSS, all of those things. But once again, I think it was nice to kind of exercise that part of my brain. I have like puzzling, analytical, like critical thinking side of my brain. So like, I guess the left side of my brain. But yeah, that is week 19 content and week 19 homework. Once again, I appreciate anybody and everybody that listens to my videos, watches my videos, likes and comments on my videos. I really appreciate it. And then with that, I will leave y'all to it. I'm going to film week 20 and 21 together because they were super, super brief. Week 19 content, it was a little bit more content than I thought it was going to be, so I decided to separate it and have its own video. But you will see me again with this red shirt, same background, because I'm going to film one more video, and then finally my final video kind of rounding off the end of my boot camp. So with that, thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all later. Bye.